our dear audience in Iowa City, Coralville, and North Liberty. As a matter of fact, we should have started with North Liberty because tonight is a big night. We are celebrating Penn Elementary's 50th anniversary. And it's my privilege and honor to have Christy Hoffner and Ann with me tonight. Christy is the principal and leader of the school, and she decided to invite Ann because Ann represents the whole legacy of Penn Elementary. So take over now and tell our audience about your success story in this wonderful community.
Well, I do think North Liberty is a wonderful community. My husband and I moved to North Liberty in 1985. So we were there when it was still just a very small town. My children attended Penn. So I do have some history beyond just this year with Penn. So it was very exciting to me to get to become the principal at Penn, and even more that it was this 50th anniversary year, because it was a good time to reflect and look at where we've come from, because North Liberty is just exploding with growth, and there probably are big decisions to be made. So it was good to have time to look backwards. And I brought Ann because she had been the media specialist for how many years?
38.
And so she had a lot of history and a lot of context, which helped me get in touch with former teachers and staff people.
Some people don't understand the structure upon which our area is divided, because you have your own city council, right? Mm-hmm. And your own mayor. The same with Coralville, and then Iowa City. And people say, well, these are three different cities or towns, and they are one district. Can you explain to me why is that?
Well, I wasn't part of all those decisions when the school district was being formed, but I do think it's really good that while we are many municipalities, right, we are one community.
Yes, and that's why we are Iowa City Community School District. I just wanted to stress the part of community means what we are not only Iowa City, but we are Iowa City Community School District.
Absolutely.
And this came up with the idea of consolidation and so on. It was a very good idea of unifying rather than just dividing the politics of the one community into little fragments here and there. No, make it more centralized so that you get more coordination, more harmony, and orchestration of the plans and so forth.
And I think we're actually able to more effectively provide or more efficiently provide really effective educational services when we have more resources to work with than if we were all just our individual little communities.
And now my information and to this moment that Penn lies in the center of a community that's one of the fastest growing communities in the United States, according to U.S. News and World Report. And the people, it's a mobile community, but in the meantime, it's a stable community. And there is a lot of diversity there. Whether this reflects the family income or racial fabric and so forth. So tell me about this. I mean, you have attended or you have been serving in this capacity in the school when it was kind of more homogeneous, middle class kind of.
North Liberty was a fairly small community when I first came to work in 1970. The community itself, I'm not quite sure how large the community was, but the school had been open for less than 10 years, and we had 280 children when I first came. And the southern boundaries were Interstate 80, so that since that time there have been 4 or 5 elementary schools and a junior high added. So the growth is amazing. And when I first came, the town of North Liberty really hadn't begun to develop a lot of the infrastructure of the town the size that it is today. For example, I can still remember looking out the windows and watching as they put up the water tower. Because when I first came, people had their own well systems, their own sanitary systems in their own properties. So there was no public library, and a lot of the services were just being started, they were just starting them. So the community is a little unusual in that when you have other small communities that are not so close to a town the size of Iowa City, they often will have their infrastructure fairly well established. North Liberty has been growing and having to add many things, including wonderful facilities for their rec center, their library, new businesses, government, medical care, all kinds of things have come in a very short period of time, relatively.
And you were a media specialist and
Yes.
librarian teacher, right?
Today the term is teacher librarian.
Teacher librarian.
And when I first started, we were called media specialists. That's
Right.
true.
Okay, so tell me about the media service in the school.
Well, the media services have changed tremendously in the 50 years that Penn has been around. I've laughed a lot about the fact that when I first began, we had very few what we would call audiovisual pieces of equipment. And pretty much everything that I started out with now is in the Smithsonian, because we just don't use it anymore. So that once computers came on board and we really began to be involved with that, the role of the media specialist or teacher librarian has changed amazingly. Just about, it's mushroomed the same way that the community has mushroomed. Going from just having a reading program to reading and technology and literature and all kinds of search skills, using as much technology as we can.
Well, I guess you probably understand what's behind my question. It's not as innocent as it may sound, but what I'm trying, what I'm trying to say is, the service, do we have enough computers for kids?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can speak to this
Okay.
right now in a way that Ian cannot.
I don't want to get into any controversial thing, but there is no doubt that a school can do well once we have the technology that can really take us to the 21st century. But let me tell you, what I feel is that we are still in need for a lot of technology to come to our school, and we are a rich country, we are a rich community. And I'm sorry, Anne, I didn't want to take your spot here and put the light on me.
No.
But what I'm trying, I visited Newton back in the early 2000, and Newton was a poor. Newton High School was a poor high school at the outskirts of Des Moines and all that, until Maytag came. And Maytag flooded the school with computers. And suddenly, every kid had a computer. Each 3 or 4 kids has a printer. They can have whatever they need in order to make their education easy. Teachers had enough computers to cover 2-3 schools because Maytag was ready. We have business here, a lot of business.
There is
How can we bring this business to help us in our education?
When we first started adding computers, the foundation and businesses like ACT were instrumental in helping us develop any kind of a computer program.
Thanks to them.
And one of the tremendous advantages of this community is that we are able to centralize and have specialists who can help us develop according to our needs. There is a huge influx of money that's coming into the technology area right now to improve the number of computers that are available to all schools. They're equalizing the needs based on the number of students. There's going to be, within this summer and the coming fall, a huge influx of material to improve the circumstances that you're talking about. I mean, I remember when we had one computer for an entire school. We've certainly come a long way from that. And the programming that is available, the money that's being spent currently is really going to make a huge difference to all schools, not just Penn. Every school and every child in Iowa City will benefit from the programs that they're putting in right now, the infrastructure that's being put in place right now. But I do remember a time when we certainly didn't have enough, or that circumstances didn't work well enough for us. And it will continue to be that way, because not only once you put in the infrastructure, you have to maintain it. You have to have people to help do that. And the teacher librarians do, I think, a yeoman's work in helping the system work. So yes, we have constant needs, and they will continue to change, but there is a lot of growth and development planned.
And the technology is changing at such a rate that 5 years ago we would have never even put a smart board or an iPad in a technology plan because they weren't common.
You have how many smart boards you have now?
We currently have 14 smart boards at Penn. Wow,
that's impressive.
Which is quite impressive, and there's a couple reasons for that. We've had a lot of support from our PTO, but in every classroom we have a projector and a document camera, so you can use the same software, the same technology. Not quite as great as having an actual smart board, but everybody has access to that. But the great thing about the new technology plan that just is being unrolled this summer is an increase in computers, student use computers. In our building, every classroom will have 2 student use computers that are dedicated for some of the work that our curricular materials that are online or on the computer. There will be a teacher laptop and a computer dedicated to the smart board as well. The foundation has undertaken a huge task of raising money to put smart boards in every classroom. I believe the goal is within 2 years. So within 2 years, every classroom, and we're ahead of the game a little bit, because we already have the projectors and the document cameras, every classroom will have a smart board. Now, I would say good teaching is good teaching. And technology helps us stay current in the world and makes the world small. But the biggest thing it does is it increases student engagement. Right. Those kids are just, the smart board comes on and they're glued to it, and it gives them the opportunity to interact and respond in a way that is the way they've grown up. It's not new stuff to them.
Well, no doubt, Christy, that it takes it takes the administration and the teachers and the parents and the kids themselves, or the consumers. But I still, at the sunset of my career, I would like to see the business get more involved.
Well, I believe
And,
the foundation is
yeah.
reaching out to businesses.
And no doubt that Victoria Gilpin, Marsha Grady, and all these people that are working, Tammy, they are doing wonderful job. And
We are very grateful.
We had them in our show twice, and we would like them to have all the support, but definitely they cannot do it by themselves only unless there is an initiative. There is a local school here, private school in Iowa City. I will not mention the name because it would be an ad, and John Kararoff will fire me. But this private school has one parent, who donated classrooms, complete classrooms, with equipments. Did he put $1 million, $2 million? Maybe. But at least one parent was able to resurrect this private school into a model school. A very conscientious parent that said, well, I have kids who are in need.
And a smaller population, probably. The other thing that we have going for us at Penn is that we have a computer lab that has 36 computers in it, and next year we will have a mobile cart that has another classroom set of laptops that a whole classroom could be using at a time. And we're looking at iPads, of having a set of iPads as well, which is, again, the result of our very active and generous PTO. What I think, the district money, so much of the district budget is used for personnel.
And the general funds,
yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
So any outside support we get is just amazing and really necessary. One of the things that I've been surprised by, and it's exciting, is the number of parents who work in places where if they give, then the company matches. And at Penn, we've been the benefit of several of those, which has helped us buy more technology as well. So that's a little plug for people who work in businesses that would match funds.
Christy, we have our director here told us that we have about 10 minutes. During these 10 minutes, I would like you first to tackle some points that are the talk of the town these days. And one of them is the numbers. In the paper where I write, I will not mention its name again, but in this paper, the main editorial a couple of weeks ago was about Penn and the numbers. Can you address and look at the community and address this problem? How we are going to deal with this, and what it's all about?
Yeah. First, I would start by saying, well, we have a good problem. If it's a problem, it's a good one, that we're growing. As a district as a whole, and especially in North Liberty, we're growing. When we look around and we see other communities that have to make hard choices about closing schools, we're very fortunate that that's not the question in front of us. At Penn right now, we have right at 500 students, 501 or 2, and the capacity of the building,
416 when you take out special ed.
Yeah, so we are over capacity. So we have some temporary spaces in the back of our building, which are not ideal. Relatively speaking, if you think about across the country, they're still good learning spaces. But Penn will need more space in the coming years, and I would put out too that it needs some improved space. That we have the smallest gym and the smallest library, and yet we're one of the largest schools by population. And it's 50 years old. So to just be able to keep pace and look good and have a pleasant learning environment, we need to keep, it's a fabulous building, a wonderful campus. It's a great place to keep growing and building. But there are decisions that will be in front of the community that will have to be made. Will there be another elementary school? Will there be an addition at Penn? Will there be a third high school? Those are big questions.
And they are
that are really before the board at this point.
In the community discourse now. This question is for Anne, because I want to keep you away from expressing your views about this, but Anne can do that. Anne, now here is a situation that I would like you to discuss with me. We talked about the need for a space. And there is a big discussion now about turning those temporary buildings into permanent ones. And we don't know yet. It may pass, it may not. But it's on the table in front of the Board of Education. You, as an expert, and you know exactly tell us, give us an advice. What would you do? Would you turn them into permanent, or there is a big opposition to this too?
Well, I don't know that I have an answer that will be satisfactory to you particularly, but
I don't care about me, but I would like these people who are watching us.
Iowa City has been working with growth in this area for a very long time.
Right.
And I would say I had been at Penn 5 years when our principal said, we need to start planning. We need to start knowing what we're going to do because this area is going to be developing. And he was absolutely correct. And the district, but it's like many problems. It's not like there's just an issue in North Liberty.
Right.
There are lots of school areas in Iowa City. So I guess I'm very much in favor of a comprehensive plan that looks at growth and development throughout the entire Iowa City community school district. It's very hard to do that because it becomes a political issue in many cases. But I guess I'm very much in favor of the community making some decisions that perhaps aren't, that are a little bit outside the box. A couple of years ago there was a discussion about these issues, and I don't know that anything was ever done with them.
Right.
The thing about Penn and North Liberty is that all of the schools in Iowa City are extraordinarily wonderful schools. They have excellent staffs, supportive parents, super students. And so however the community as a whole approaches this problem, it needs to be as a comprehensive issue rather than thinking about Penn. I have a very soft spot. I have a soft spot for Penn.
And you have really to think about running for president. You are very political. I like the way you answer my question. I mean, that's a good one. But okay, another thing that's really, you will answer this question. Do I have time, sir? Okay. Do you have a voice on the board? And the reason for me asking this question is, regardless of all the political ramification and all the controversy, David Franker is one of the people that are close to me. And I respected this guy when he was on the board. I don't know if he went to the city council that was good for him or not, but he was one of the leaders on the board. He championed a lot of programs. I would think that David Franker was a very good voice for North Liberty.
I know him.
Now, do you have somebody to talk on your behalf? Do you think that you have enough clout on the Board of Education to represent the interests of North Liberty?
Yes, I do. I do. As a former educator, I'd like to think as a forever educator, it pleased me to see that we had some people who were former teachers who are now part of the board makeup.
Good.
But I think that everyone who's been on the board, very honestly, has looked hard at the issues that are out there. And I can't say that I've ever seen anyone on the board who's not really worked to their best ability to have good solutions for our entire community. Right now, I feel very comfortable if as a citizen of this community to go to the board and express my opinions. And I would hope that all of the parents, from the people at Penn to the people in every part of our community, would feel that way. But I think that there's a real interest in being responsive to the people.
And Martha came from the classroom. And Martha, as a president of the board, she came from
Marla
the classroom.
did,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
So she knows, and she has
Yeah.
her heart in the leadership. I'm sorry because we're close to run out of time. So I want to. You are a young female leader in this district, and I was talking. My guest was Steve Merle last week, and I told him one of the things that I appreciate the most is his tremendous support for the new leadership that used to be people like me and my friend here, kind of good old boys. You know, they are the leaders, they are the administrators, and women are in the classroom. And now if we look at the map of our district, we find young woman as a principal of a school. Many of those
And
are
very
there.
effective.
And very effective, very
Almost all.
successful. In a very little pill. Tell me what your impression about that.
Well, of course, I am personally, I'm flattered by what you have to say. But I think as the role of principals has morphed into being an instructional leader and not manager as much, it makes a pretty good transition for teachers who often have been women to move right into that role. And I think I work with some very talented, smart colleagues.
And you are doing a wonderful job.
Well, thank you.
And now you're going to watch this show
Of
on
course.
Channel 21 and on Public Access TV. If you turn it on Saturday, let us say at 2:30, you will watch it.
And
this
in
program.
North Liberty?
Well, we are going to, this is going to be solved because there is a lot of attempts. I know that Mike Peterson is working on this with full heart. And on, of course, Public Access TV, Channel 21, and YouTube. We'll probably be there tomorrow evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for a wonderful occasion tonight. It's good that at the end of the school year we have Penn voice on our show tonight. Thank you, Mr. John Karhoff, Mike Peterson, and our wonderful, wonderful people. Mike Salomon is here, and that by itself is great. Thank you, and have a very, very good night.